This right here is gonna be a real special segment for me right here, man. This guy right here really special to my heart, man. He really don't need no introduction, but just for the procedure, the Exchanging Jewels show, man, I like to invite my main man, Pro Bowler, businessman, Penn State meanest linebacker ever come through the system, Redskins meanest linebacker ever come through the system. My main man, Lavar Arrington, man.
My guy.
Man, good to have you on me, man. Exchanging Jewels, man. This is special for me, man. I mean, we left the studio. We had to jump on a plane to come and see you, man.
Hey, I appreciate you. Appreciate you coming to check me.
And I appreciate, I know your schedule's so hectic, man. You know, you always say, man, if it presents itself, you know what I'm saying, you're going to allow me to come and see you, man. And as always, you're a man of your word. You know what I'm saying? We'll get into that later on down the line, man. But for the people who don't know you, man, and we know that's going to be a little bit of people, but where you from, where you grew up at?
From Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Went to school in Pittsburgh, grew up in Pittsburgh, and obviously ended up going to Penn State for my college years, and eventually ended up being a resident of the DMV. Started out in Ashburn, VA. Ended up in Fairfax, Virginia. Ended up in Annapolis, Maryland. But was always around the DMV, so that's you know, ended up being my home, and now I'm out in California now.
Okay. Before we get that DMV, I want to say in Pittsburgh, man. So I already know you grew up a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. You couldn't even live in that state or city without being a Pittsburgh fan. I'm still a Pittsburgh fan. Still this Pittsburgh fan.
It's just how you raised,
right?
You know, and you know, understanding the Washington. The Commanders, understanding what had been the culture and the history of it. The old heads, I'm sure, can relate to. Born and raised. If you're born and raised it's either Washington or Dallas. So, but yeah, I'm still a big Steeler fan. I follow them close.
When you played Steelers, how did that affect you?
It really didn't. You have a sense of pride because you're playing against your hometown team, and you want to have a good showing. But you know, I wanted to have a good showing every game. So I mean, if I had an opportunity, like Jerome Bettis is somebody that took the time out of his busy schedule to mentor me while I was still in high school. So I spent a lot of time around him, learning from him. Because we had the same barbershops. Shots out to Dave's on the north side. But we spent a lot of time together. So ending up being in the league and you're playing against someone who, you know, was a mentor to you and taught you so many things, and you had some cool experiences with, it was always cool to be able to measure and weigh yourself against the team you grew up cheering for. And then messing around and playing against guys you used to root for when you were growing up.
That's special. Man, Pittsburgh, this is the state of Pennsylvania, period. Let a lot of ball, especially quarterbacks, man. But just run out some names, man, of football players come to that town, that state.
All right, so if we're talking quarterbacks, you got Joe Montana, you got Jim Kelly, you got Dan Marino, you got Joe Namath.
Damn.
Unitas is from West PA. Mark Bolger is from West PA. I might have forgot some big quarterback. I might have forgot maybe one or two quarterbacks, but if I did, I apologize. Then you got Tony Dorsett. You got Curtis Martin. You got Darrelle Revis. Sean Gilbert. If you're a Washington fan, you remember that name. We got a few, man.
What about Hugh, the linebacker Hugh? Is he coming in?
Hugh Green.
Hugh Green?
He's not from Pittsburgh, though, but he's a Pittsburgh guy. But the most notable name right now, I would say, from Pittsburgh might be the most dominant defensive player of all time in the history of the game.
The boy,
Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald's from Pittsburgh. So,
he on route. He on route right now. He on route. So you had a lot of inspiration coming up of the history and the pride of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it's hard-nosed, Bone. Like, you grew up in Pittsburgh, and it's just like anywhere else. I think this is why I related so well when I got to D.C. is you had the touristy spots, and then you had the this is where people are from spots, and if you don't play it the right way, you end up in a place where that's not the tourism spot. That's where people are from spot, and that has never really mixed well. At least during my time growing up there, that wasn't one of those things. So when I grew up lunch pail, hard hat, but also the hustle.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that was our thing, was to be hard nosed. We walked around, we'd be gritting on people, the ice grills and all that stuff. Right. Walking around with your hoodies and your flannels on and stuff like that. So culture was one thing. Street culture was one thing. It was big. I grew up through the 80s, but I was moving around as a buck, like in the early 90s.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Okay. So that was, late 80s, early 90s. So Pittsburgh was, I know there's a lot of stories connected to the big boroughs and all that stuff. Right. But Pittsburgh wasn't a game, man. It was a place where you tried to make it out playing ball.
Right, but even all the guys you named, though, if you look at all the guys you named, even the quarterback, the DNA can tell you right there. So, you know what I'm saying? Them was all hard noses at all them positions is hard nosed guys, and they always say the Steel City.
Steel
City.
What I'm saying? Yeah, Steel City.
And which you kind of who you look to the most far as it might not be the most, might be equally to your mom or dad, as far as a lot of your characteristics or a lot of your ways, and where do you think it mostly come from?
It definitely is my mom and dad. The easiest, like that. They were the major influences on how I handle things and how I do things. But I mean, I grew up around a lot of old heads. My cousin Lele was a big influence on me. All my uncles were a big influence on me. My Uncle Thee, my Uncle Les, my Uncle Brad, Sherd, Don, Uncle L. I had a ton. We had a village around us. So in terms of influences, my grandparents were major influences on me. Really, local legends were generally more of an influence growing up, like the local football stars, stuff like that. My uncles were local football stars. My cousins were local football stars. Rusty Arrington went to the same school as Aaron Donald. Ended up making it to the Ravens. Didn't make it, through, but made it all the way. With one of the first ones in our family. I think the first to make it to the pros. So I had a lot of positive influences, Bone. A lot of things that, Greg Lloyd was my favorite player growing up. So I patterned a lot of my characteristics and how I handle things, based off of G. Lloyd and stuff like that. So, I mean, there's a lot of influences, the areas that I grew up in, the North Side, Homewood, a lot of places, North Hills, a lot of places had a lot of like influence. So I would say I'm a melting pot of all the sums of influences I've had on me.
Okay, I got that.
Coaches, all my coaches. And basketball too.
You got some basketball in you?
Well, I was a basketball player first, Bone.
For real? What's your position?
Hooper. I was a power forward, swing, small forward.
You can knock the short J down, or you like everything in the box?
I can knock down a J. I had a nice J.
Okay.
My J started to suffer when I started dunking in the 6th grade. I was dunking in the 6th grade.
6th grade?
Games.
You gonna have a lot of basketball players on you about that, man.
In games.
6th grade?
In games. I was dunking in the 6th grade in games.
Damn.
So basketball was actually like my thing. Pittsburgh is known for football, so that's your thing. So I was playing basketball and football, and then naturally gravitated to track and field. So I say there's a lot of things that influence me, man. My dad's a military dude, so I'm influenced by military people and how their mindsets and mannerisms are. But I'm also, like, he's big into boxing. So some of the greatest boxers, like, my mindset was being formed off of watching, you remember on HBO they used to have the specials before the fight, you know, and they show like almost like what 24/7 has been as of recent, but they show Mike Tyson, they show Holyfield, they show Foreman, you know, and at times obviously they show the
trainers
greats.
talking to them right in the ear while they working and all that.
So a lot of that, you know, a lot of that influenced me. Rocky, the movie Rocky, influenced me. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of movies that really, you know, like played a part in my mentality. You know what I mean?
Right. And coming up, do you ever had any brushes with the law?
So I've been blessed enough where when I went through that stage and that phase of my life, it never led to any real repercussions. There were one or two instances where, maybe three, where it could have gone the wrong direction, and you know my parents quickly intervened in seeing what my my life path was taking me down, and they made some decisions for me. They were hard decisions because I ended up leaving where I went to school, leaving all my people and all that, and going to an entirely different place. So I went from a virtually all black school, inner city public school, to going out to the suburbs and going to an all white school where there was probably like 3 or 4 black people in the entire school.
At that time, was that a culture shock big for you?
Yeah, it was a culture shock because back then they didn't have a problem saying what they wanted to say at times.
Right.
So you had to either like over here I'm adapting and adjusting to like real like street politics.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's N-word different over here. Then I get pulled out and I go to another school and it's N-word hard R at the end at this N-word over here. And it's not city and it's not city politics. It's suburbia, white suburbia. So there was an adjustment period. You had to adjust to it, and it wasn't easy. And you know, I missed being around the people that I grew up with and was coming up with. But a weird dynamic. We moved out of the city when I was relatively young. So where I ended up going to school is where we actually ended up moving to. So we were still going into the city because my mom taught in the city. But I actually grew up pretty much where I went to high school. So I knew a lot of the dudes I ended up going to high school or going to transfer into the school with because we played Pee Wee League football together.
Okay.
All right, so there was some familiarity, and that was actually what really got me on track, Bone, was my familiarity with the dudes I played youth football with. Football, basketball, and track ended up really kind of, you know, giving me some direction. It gave me a lot of direction. So I started really focusing in my attention and my energy and all my spare time instead of running around and moving around and doing a lot of this and a lot of that. I was always working out and was always, you know, participating summer basketball, whatever it may have been. You know, I was still around, but just nowhere near as much. It wasn't as accessible as I had been growing up.
Okay. And then you end up choosing Penn State.
Yeah.
Why Penn State? I know a lot of colleges. How many college offers you had?
A lot. And I wanted to go to Miami. I was a Miami dude in the heart, for real. But one thing that really stood out was, one, I loved the uniforms at Penn State. Two, they're linebacker U. They were called linebacker U. That's how they were referenced. That's the moniker. That is the title. And I wanted to be a linebacker. From being from Pittsburgh, my thing was I didn't want to, you know, I played tailback. I was 6'4", 6'3", just under 6'4", 230-pound tailback. I was running a 4.39 coming out of high school. So I had got Player of the Year as a player, not as a linebacker. You know, I played tailback. I was a tailback. I ran for over 4,000 yards in Quad A football and Western PA football, which is big-time football. So
So you played both sides.
So I never came off the field. I never came off the field. I kicked, I punted, I did everything. I covered kicks, whatever. If I wasn't kicking it off, I was covering it. We didn't have enough dudes where you had the luxury. So you had to be ready, man.
Right.
You had to be ready to play.
I know in the compound, I don't want to go too fast. I think you ran the linebacker. You ran like a 4.
They listed at a 4.5, but they timed it. It was a 4.43 unofficial, but it was listed as a 4.5. So,
but at that time, that was still looked at a fast number though.
Yeah, 4.5 is still a fast number today.
But you needed all yours.
I like my times to be my times.
Right.
Like my times to be my times.
So man, you go to Penn State, man. You meet Joe Paterno.
Yeah.
What was that like? They every time you see any likeness of any movie, like, and they kind of show him as like a older father or older grandfather. Yeah. Did he give that off to you when you met him and dealt with him?
So that's interesting you say that, because I think he had the best relationships with players who saw him as a father figure.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Okay. Like I never saw any of my coaches as father figures. I had a dope dad at home. Right. And I saw them as authoritative figures. I saw them as teachers, but I never saw them as like a father figure. I never needed a replacement or a substitute or fill-in for what my father represented. Anytime I needed fatherly guidance, and from its truest form, I've always had my father to go to. Right. So I think that kind of created a little bit of like friction between me and Joe. Like, you know, I know he's like been historically quoted as saying, you know, Lavar thinks he knows too much, you know, but, you know, this, that, and the other. But it's not about what I know. It's about the people that are around me and what they know and what they're putting into me.
Exactly.
And the one thing that I did know is that I valued who Lavar Arrington was, because that's what was put into me by the community of people that raised me. And I think sometimes that rubbed people, you know, I know for a fact that rubbed people the wrong way.
Right. What was going through your head when you first heard the breaking news about Sandusky? What was going through your head at that moment?
Just shocked, blown away by it. I know or knew some of those people that were victimized, and so for me, it was surreal, because you start to wonder, like, first off, like you just start to go through all the mental gymnastics of it all. You know what I mean? And you start to realize, like, when all those things happen, it wasn't just the victims directly that were being impacted. It was people that weren't directly that way connected to it that were victims as well. Like, I was a victim of those circumstances. All my teammates, we were victims to those circumstances. Any coaches that weren't aware of what was going on were victims to that. Like, can't even find coaching jobs to this day just because of their association. You know what I mean? So that there were a lot of victims that were, you know, impacted. A lot of us were impacted very deeply and tremendously from everything that had took place. You know, but well, I mean, we've gotten through. You're still seeing a school and a community that's still moving forward and still somewhat recovering from all of the damage that took place when all of that came out. But I think, you know, largely in part, our school is definitely a dope school. It's definitely a dope institution. And I think a lot of, you know, what a person's actions or a few people's actions or lack thereof really put a cloud over the entire program, the entire institution, that, you know, we still kind of work through every once in a while, every so often, even still to this day.
And last question on this: I know you did brain inventory back when you first heard it, when you replay everything back in your mind. I know you was you looking for stuff, like you said, I didn't see none of those signs when you played your brain. Did you?
So there was one kid in particular, and I used to always ask him, like, why are you so mad? Why are you so mad? But you got to keep in mind, Bone, I'm 18, 19,
kid, right.
I'm 20. I'm a kid myself.
Right.
And I'm a kid that's trying to get good grades, stay eligible, play football, try to play well enough where I start. Then if I'm starting, I'm trying to play well enough where I could get a draft grade. So I'm trying to go pro.
Right.
Like, I got a lot of things on my plate. I'm not sitting there taking inventory. Like, and to be honest with you, even if I didn't have that much going on, I don't think anybody would in the scenario be sitting there in it like, man, let me do some investigative work on this. You know what I mean? Like,
what your job?
let me work through this. You know what I mean? Like, let me see where I could trace this back. I wouldn't even know the first thing about what I was looking at or what I was trying to trace back to or figure out. Like, no idea.
Because you know, sometimes everybody always say, man, I remember, you know, all that type of stuff. That's what I was thinking of. But anyway, man, you know, to all those victims and families and players, man, you know, I just wish the best for them. You know, okay, that's a tragic situation, man, and you know, and hope they, you know, got better with that situation in their life. So, man, the joint when you dive across the line, man, I mean, you seeing plays before they develop, man. I know that had to be a nightmare for your defense coordinator, coach, man, because you jumped a lot of plays, man.
So I'm a coach now.
Okay, right.
And so I've always have lived with the stigma of being an undisciplined football player.
Right.
When in reality, I'm probably one of the most obsessive studiers of film and tendencies and what teams are doing. That's like what I love to do. I've always loved to do it. My father could never run with us because of his injuries from Vietnam. So we overcompensated by watching a lot of footage. And that was how I learned. I learned to run by watching Eric Dickerson and Marcus Allen. They're like, you're taller. This is how you should look when you're running. My dad isn't getting out there running with me. So everything that I'm doing to learn is all visual.
Yeah, John, a film room with kids.
As a kid, I'm visually watching every single thing that it was that I wanted to do. If it was basketball, I was trying to go out back and emulate what I saw and come fly with me, or watching the Sunday games, like when it like Sunday basketball, it just hit different back then for some reason. I don't know. It just hit different. But I would be out back, you know, VHS cassette, we record MJ, we recorded Magic, we recorded Kareem, we recorded Pistons, we recorded the Knicks, we recorded the Rockets. Like, so I would be watching anything and everything that I did. If it was Carl Lewis, if it was Michael Powell, you know, jumping, if it was Michael Johnson running, if it was Donovan Bailey, whoever, Leroy Burrell, Ben, what was Ben's name?
Ben Johnson.
Ben Johnson, right? I'm watching and filming, recording VHS, all this stuff, and just was always trying to look like and replicate in my mind looking like that when I did what I would do. So if it was watching, you know, Jack Ham or Jack Lambert or Mean Joe Green, like in my mind, it's like if I'm working on this, I didn't know what grab the shoulder, force the shoulder, you know, drop your level, rip through. Like, I didn't have all that. It was just watch the film. And then after a while, once I got really deep into it in high school and started really understanding, like, okay, this is what pulling guards do, or this is what happens when you got a fast flow defense and stuff like that. I'm watching how these teams play, and you watch it so much that once you get into the game, I hear the call, you hear the play call, but I'm still going to put my DNA, I'm still going to put my personality on that play call. I'm not a robot. And I think so many times people get so caught up into a smart player is a smart player if they're playing a robotic style of football. Like, I felt the game. Some of us, like a Junior Seau, he felt the game. Guys like that felt the game.
Lawrence Taylor would say that too.
What's the Lawrence Taylor?
Right.
But they want to call it freelancing, but it's really not. It's not freelancing, right? Like, so when I went and jumped over that line of scrimmage, you know what I had on that play? I had an A-gap blitz. A-gap meaning you come down, you hit the A-gap, which is where the center is and where the guard is. All right, you hit that gap. That's the A-gap.
Right.
instead of running my body through the A gap, knowing that they're like, first of all, I watched it on film. So if they come out of the huddle quick, they're going on first sound, which means they're going quick.
Right.
They're going to go quick.
You pick that up, your tendency.
I'm watching it.
Right.
I'm watching it on film. I see it on film. Right down in distance, boom, boom, boom. They come rushing out of that huddle. They going on first sound. Now, if they hunker down, like if they jump down in that stance, they're not only going on first sound, but they running.
Right.
Which means that they're probably going to chop block. Which means that I'm going to run myself into a chop block to try to force the gap to make sure that he can't run through my gap. So I'm just giving my body up for the A gap, basically, and I'm going to get chopped by that guard that comes down, right? So instead of doing that, in my mind, I watch so much film. If I see everything matching up like puzzle pieces, it's like, like being in the Matrix, like I'm touching it and it's going real slow.
All your homework, just a moment, all your homework right here, you're looking at it, right.
Like I'm not going to sit there and not do it because my rules of the defense say you got to blitz and run through the gap. Nah, I came up and I knew it was going to be a chop block, so I'm a dive like a missile over top, and I'm gonna hit this quarterback right in the face. Right. And we're gonna stop him, and we're gonna get off the field on this fourth down. So happens, so crazy. First off, the guard was offsides, so the play shouldn't even ever happen. They should have flagged the play dead. Right. But they allowed it to go. They gave him an early start, so he's already cutting me off and going down. I go dive over top of him. And I got such a good push to go hit the quarterback that the quarterback turns away from me and hands the ball off, and I still had enough in me to shoot past the quarterback and hit the running back and knock him down for a loss. So when I made those plays, I always tell people, to people who want to diminish and say that that's not a smart and brilliant play, that's just you're an athlete. Right. Get your best athlete, line them up, and see if they can do it. Right. Line them up and see if they can pull it off. Right. Because I'll tell you right now, I've seen Roy Williams do it. I've seen Troy Polamalu do it. Calamus out of Oklahoma, I've seen him do it. I've seen a couple people do it. Right. But when you're talking about the level of timing, the level of understanding to be able to execute something on that level, not to mention that's in Beaver Stadium, so it's over 100,000 people sitting in there.
What you call that stadium?
Beaver.
Okay.
Right? So that's our home field. So you got 100,000 plus sitting up in that bad boy screaming and hollering. You got millions of people watching you on television, so you got all of these elements that are playing a part of your ecosystem and your surroundings, and you got to put all of that aside. And in those moments, I always say it's the wildest thing. Before a play, like soon as I break, boom, we got the call. I'm getting out, and it's like, okay, where are they going to come out with? All right, it's third and short. It's third and short. All right, it's second and long. It's second and long. Okay, where are they going? Okay, 21 personnel. 21. Like, okay, here they come. Like, and then I just don't hear anything. I don't hear nothing. I just see people fingers moving. I see dudes. I can like see them. Like but it's just all mute.
Right. Damn.
I don't hear nothing. Right. Honest to God, when I played, I did not, from that moment right before the play where everything is like coming together, it's computer, like computing and all that stuff and coming together, I don't hear anything, and then the play goes. And you got to put everything you just was thinking about together that quickly, and the play's over that quick. And it's like, what people don't understand is the you can call anybody you want a bust. You can call anybody you want to call, they didn't live up to the hype, whatever it is. But if you understand
pro speed,
bro, even college, even to have success to a certain level of eliteness in college, the amount of adjustments and moving on the fly and doing what it is that you need to do to impact the play.
Right.
that's the brilliance.
Right. Right.
That's you guys get to see the product of the brilliance.
Right.
Just so happens sometimes the brilliance ends up with somebody catching a ball deep, or somebody getting a sack, or somebody running the ball, whatever. Somebody is going to lose on that rep. A team, a unit is going to lose on that rep. But the brilliance of it all is everything that's connected to what went into that.
Right. And the average fan, they look at all the skill positions. Like until I was incarcerated, I didn't even understand that line, that defensive, offensive line.
That's where it all starts and stops.
It don't matter what the play is. That they never get a play off.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and I didn't realize that till I was there. I say they don't get a play off, run,
not one.
Whatever. You know what I'm saying? So the dynamic stuff. Man, what is your vertical? Because we used to jump them joints. Yeah. I didn't see you jump a few things. Man, what is your vertical?
So when I was coming out, it was 42 inches, and that's standstill. That ain't basketball, because I might have been in the 60s.
So you could just stand right here, get up, and maybe at that time and go 42 up.
Yeah. When I was hooping, the rim, I had the rim in my armpit. I was getting up high enough where the rim was in my armpit. I was a high flyer. I played with a team called the Pittsburgh Jots when I was growing up, and they had a dude by the name, probably the only recognizable real name. Well, there might be two. Archie Miller was the point guard, you know, the coach, the real good coach. Okay. He was the point guard, and a dude by the name of Danny Forson played for Cincinnati.
Yeah,
big boy, played for Denver, stuff like that. Yep. So he was on probably the main attraction of our team. But I traveled around. I played against Samaki Walker and Lamar Odom and Kobe and Donald Foyle and like that era, Antoine Walker, like Kareem Reed. People might not even remember Kareem Reed, but he played out of New York, played for Alabama. Stephon Marbury. So I played against all of them. That was my era of time, and I was playing travel basketball, and you know, it's just one of those things. Is I could tell I wasn't growing anymore. So at 6'3", I'm short, but I'm still playing small forward.
Right, that toughness.
And I'm my ball handling. I wasn't like a point guard at small forward. I was like a Dennis Rodman. Like I'm gonna outwork you. Right. I'm gonna put my elbows into you.
They put you on the baddest guy. So when y'all play Kobe or them type of team, they say that's your guy.
I'm gonna beat you up. Right, but I'm athletic enough where you ain't getting away.
Right.
And generally, because they were so much taller than me, I get off the ground quicker than them. So it was like, it's funny, for football, in my position, I was tall.
Right, yeah.
But for basketball, in my position, I was grossly undersized.
Right.
But my vertical was always my asset.
Right.
So when we be doing, like, go up for a rebound, I'm gonna hit you and I'm going up quick.
Right, quick jump.
I'm gonna hit that hip, or I'm gonna hit you right with that hand on your quad. Right, yeah. Like little tricks of the trade, right? You know what I mean? I'm hit that hand, I'm up.
Right.
Quick. I'm up. Like I'm above the rim. Like I'm grabbing this rebound.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or I got thumped on a couple times too.
Yeah. You got posted around.
I got a couple coming off the rim and you running up to get it. I went up to get it. Somebody went up a little higher than I did.
Bang that joint on you.
It's all good, man. But, you know, I can also say, even though I never went anywhere for basketball, I played against some of the greatest to play the game, especially during my era. So, and held my own. Right. You know what I mean? So, and obviously it translated into playing the game of football at a high level and on a different level of athleticism mixed in with the preparation and the understanding of the game.
Right. And man, I know one thing, when the Redskins drafted you, I never forget it, man. You and Samuels. Yeah. I think you went 2, he went 3, or other way around.
Right. That's right. Now you got it. I went 2, he went 3.
And I said, man, we never, I've been a Redskin fan my whole life. We never get dogs. We always get some good players. I mean, no disrespect to them, but some nice good players, but not that markable guy that's like you know what I'm saying, can be like the a freelancer. You know, like that type of term. But and I say, man, and we get you, man. I forgot how we actually met, but I know when I first met you, you pulled up on me, man, on Central Avenue at Hampton Mall, had the green
Bentley.
and that's the first time I seen the red brake pad for the Joe. I said, well, you got the red? He said, yeah. You explained to me top of the line brakes and all that, right?
Yeah.
And you come and get some clothes, and you by yourself. Now that lunched me out because I say this nigga really him. Excuse me. I say, man, he really full grown because dudes just don't move like that. He in DC, you know what I'm saying? Bentley, come and see a dude that, you know what I'm saying? And I got to bring back how we made that initial meet. And man, just came out there, man, grab the clothes, man, give me money. You ain't say let me have it or nothing, man. I mean, I'll hand it to you. Say what that costs, and whipped out money, man. And that really touched me, man. I mean, and it wasn't in fact the money. It touched me because
support.
It's
about the support.
And I gave a lot of athletes merchandise, and a lot of them I would have gave it to them and wanted to give it to them.
Yeah.
But the fact that you did that, it just hit me different because I wasn't used to pro athletes or nobody saying, hey man, we know you're a small business, you try and get out there. We know we helping you too, but here goes some money, right?
Yeah.
So I always wanted to, man.
We came up with our own deal because a lot of people don't know that the Waterboy was inspired by me. The character of the Waterboy that Adam Sandler played was inspired by me. He was coming to Penn State and watching me practice for his role to be the Waterboy in the movie, and we came up with a jersey. He gave me a couple jerseys. That was the Waterboy jersey. So we was trying. We had always tried to collaborate and talk through. Try to figure out the things in the culture and stuff like that. But it was always about respect. You know what I mean? And just knowing your environment and knowing the people and what they represent in your community has always been important to me.
Right.
So when I met you, and got to know the people locally, there was a few people I got to know locally. You were one person I bump into, however we, like you said, however we kicked it off, but it was always like just such a mutual respect and just kind of, like you said, like you looking at me and the way I'm doing things, I'm looking at you, and I'm admiring the way you do things. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like that whole idea of it, it's just good, man, because to the city is like, my reputation is that I hate the Washington Redskins. Right. But I don't. Right. I love the city. I love the people. Like you said, I'd be in Southeast before this Southeast. I'd be in the original, like outside of the original Southeast, sitting on a bench. People be driving by like, like pull back around the block, like, yo, Lavar. Why are you sitting here? Because this is what I do. I like watching the traffic go by in certain places. I like smelling fish being fried. Like I like seeing certain things, and it would keep me hungry, and it would keep me grounded, and it kept me connected. I never disconnected. You know what I mean? Like never was about disconnecting. So you see me at Berry Farms, I'd be with Miles and all them, and we be sitting there and having a good time. You see me at an all day shop, or you'll see me at at Landover Mall or whatever. You'll see me wherever if it's us. You need me, I'm gonna be there. Right. And look,
anytime somebody call you, pick the phone. I'll be like, you don't pick the phone sometimes. Say, I'm calling right back to me. I say, man, you could hit me later. It's like I was just little small. I say, man, I knew you had to grew up around some men, just on how you postured yourself and how comfortable you was around men. A lot of males don't be comfortable around men. You know what I'm saying? And people don't think that's crazy, but a lot of males don't be, man. So I always want to acknowledge that, man. I mean, and you wore that thing all over the country, man. People would see me, they'd be like, man, I want the shirt Lavar had. You might be on the away game. What's the name, man? And what's the name? So, man, that was like a lot of members. And this background we can't give no addresses out, man. But this not we in LA, this not the Ritz-Carlton. This is the backyard. You said this the backyard we see right here. You know what I'm saying? That we downtown. I ain't seen nothing like this yet, man. So, man, he's still doing his thing, man. And at one time, look, they really gonna say, man, he really crazy. He got too close to Bo. I used to bring clothes to his house. He don't even be there. He said, man, go get the keys. Go to the, what's the name? Let it in. I go put keys in, man. Everything, jewelry, whatever got. Just let me go, man. I say, man, this dude here, man, is unbelievable, man. So that alone was always just just special to me, man. I know, small things mean a lot, man. So,
Same.
listen, I know you had that big, what that dog? You don't got him no more, that big dog?
No, but I always keep a big one, though.
Man,
I do always keep one. He put away right now.
Man, he had a big dog with me, man.
Yeah.
I'm a Charlie. I'm going to put you out there. Wherever you at, Charlie was with me, man. We was at his house. The big dog come sniffing up our knees, man. All of you growing, all that, man.
Yeah.
Charlie wouldn't even
Checking
move.
your pulse.
Yeah, Charlie moved
Check
it
that
up.
pulse.
He say, man, what time you about to roll? I say, nah, I'm gonna holler for a little while. But I'm laughing because he's so purred of the dog, right?
Yeah,
Soon the dog walk over by Lavar, he hauled ass out the house, man. But yeah, man, that was just some funny stuff, man. But yeah, man, and how long you been married now? How long you been married?
Yeah, 18 years, man.
18 years. That's been a long time.
18 years.
Yeah, you might know. I remember you told me when you first met your wife.
Yeah.
And when you met her, it was so wild to me because you said you wasn't even, man. I don't think you was 30 days with her, and you said she the one.
Yeah.
You said, man, that's my wife. You said my
Yeah.
wife, and I was like, damn. I was saying to myself, dang, that's kind of fat. And I'm thinking like how athletes and
Yeah.
pretty
How it all
women,
work.
right? How it
Yeah,
work and all that. He
yeah,
said,
yeah.
nah, this the one. It wasn't even 30 days because that's why I was so mind blown. And you
We
said
got
18
engaged
years later.
we got engaged 3 months later. We got
How
engaged
you knew,
3
though?
months later. The conversation, like you know when you've experienced certain things and you get on like just kind of the fast track of life, you got to still be studying.
Right.
I never stopped studying my environment, never stopped studying who I am. I'm always constantly trying to master who I am.
Right.
And I felt like the more I got to know who I was, I got to know more about what interests me.
Right.
And so when you meet somebody and people be like, I don't want to speak for everybody, but I just know the saying that opposites attract, I don't buy that.
Right.
I don't buy it at all. I want somebody who's exactly like me.
Right.
Like they trying to pull the rope the same direction I'm trying to pull that rope in. They have the same type of values. Her dad is a Green Beret, passed away, God bless his soul, but he was military, hard-nosed, entrepreneur, was a roofer, had his own company, did his own thing, and really raised her and her siblings in a very, very man-dominant home. And a good mom, a dope mom, super, super strong mom. So a super strong, home upbringing. And we vibed. We vibed like I had never vibed with anybody else before. And I knew she was touching in the conversation. She was touching on things that were my passions, were my interests, and ultimately like the way I viewed the world and what direction I wanted to go in terms of impacting people, helping others, different things like that. So it resonated so quick. Like we spoke first time I ever met her, when we kind of just jumped off to the side and started rapping. We probably spoke for about 2, 3, 4 hours straight.
First initial conversation.
Didn't come up for air, just like talking, And that was I knew pretty early on. I was like, man, like this is like it's a matching of energies. Like the spirits are matching, like the spirits are mingling. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, 18 years. It's really we've been together 19.
Right.
You know what I mean? But we've been married for 18. So yeah.
Right, yeah, and not to put your business up too far, because I'm not saying you was a Rob Lowe or no Playboy, but because girls always, they knew we was tight, knew you was wearing my clothes off meat, they used to be on your line, hanging around. I say, man, I just stopped seeing. It's like you just put them cold turkey. Like it was like I said, this man for real, man.
DC showed me a lot of love, champ.
Yeah.
DC showed.
Yeah.
DC showed me a lot of love. DC, I always love y'all. I'm just telling you, D.
Right.
It ain't never changed.
Right.
I just don't like the owner.
Right. Yeah.
But it ain't never like what you're talking about.
Right.
I did stop cold turkey.
I said, man, you went cold turkey. I'm coming to the hotel, bringing up clothes, come and meet you at the restaurant. I say, man, this man here, this taco quarterbacks in interview.
That's
it. So that was good, man. That was good. You met a good, special white man, and you slammed on brakes like that. So that was beautiful, man.
Indeed.
Man, it was a play I seen Y'all play the Dallas Cowboys, man. And nobody told me my best friend is Dallas Cowboy. A couple of my best friends Dallas Cowboy fan. And I always say, man, my man Lavar knocked Emmitt Smith out cold. You caught him in the backfield. I don't know if he was in the Redskins Stadium or Dallas Stadium. You jumped. You ain't jump over, but you timed the gap. You got back there. You caught him as soon as Akers was giving that joint, and he dropped like a boxer drop, man. Do you remember the game? You remember the time?
I don't remember. I hit him a few times like that, though. Right. I can remember one in particular where it was a throw.
Okay.
It was a throw, and I was coming down. I was flying downhill, and they must have not have thought that I could get to Emmitt before the ball got to him.
Right.
And by the time he got the ball and turned around,
he was there.
Man, at full speed though. I wasn't just there. I wasn't there to get him down. I was there to destroy him.
Right.
And I just remember I hit him so hard. When I saw the TV version of it, the guy was like, "Respect your elders." Like, I tried to knock the life out of Emmitt Smith, man.
Oh yeah.
My respect level for Emmitt Smith is super high.
He took that
because
shot.
I got him at least 3 times. Like you said,
Right,
I got him at least 3 times.
Right.
Like smooth assassin shots. Like you ain't supposed to come back from that.
Right.
And he jumped up.
He gets up. He pops back up. Right.
Popped back
He's a
up.
tough little cookie though.
Bruh,
He used to irritate me. He was so tough.
I hit him with my like my every bit of my inner being and my physical and all of it, like all of it coming together in this moment. Like, yeah,
right.
I hit him with all of it,
Right.
and he popped up. I know he was hurting.
Right.
I know he was hurting.
Right.
Dudes don't like if I get a shot like that. Dudes don't generally get up.
Mm-hmm.
They don't generally get up.
And what's the name? When you first seen that goddamn 21, man.
Doc.
What? Sean
It's just
Teller,
different, man.
Where did he come from, man? The DNA, I mean.
It's different, bro. 6'3", almost 6'4", and literally could go sideline to sideline. Like nobody was safe. Nobody was safe.
He had a lot of alligator arms in that joint, man. They was bringing them joints down, man, when he get around that area, man.
It's unfortunate, and it's so crazy, like the irony of us talking, because our daughters grew up together a little bit, like during the initial years before she ended up, Jackie ended up moving with baby Jackie back to Florida. We were all around each other quite a bit. We still stayed pretty close. My wife was very close with Jackie, Big Jackie. And so our daughters were together. And so recently we kind of lost touch because we've been out here on the West Coast and they're out on the East Coast. And our daughters both play volleyball. So they were just, I'm going to send the picture so you can post it on the podcast.
Okay.
But they were just together on the same floor at the same hotel for the tournament. So baby Jackie and Marley were like in the same mix.
And you talking recent?
So,
this is
like last week.
Damn.
Like last week. So it's kind of cool that it's like just brought front to mind.
Right.
But you start thinking about him and just I think about all the times we had where nobody even knew. Like I recall times where he would be running home, Bone. I'd be going home. He'd be running home. I'd be like, "What you doing, man?" I'm just run home today. Like just leave his car at the park. I was like, "Man, if you don't get your ass in, this car, let's go get some food." So we go get. I remember when the DC Sniper was out.
Right. Yeah.
And we was at the gas station before we get out the car to get the gas. Be like, "Hey, man, love you, bro. Love you too." Like, all right, man. Like, here's what we gonna do. If anything, like, we probably ain't gonna hear nothing. Yeah, you right. All right, let's get our gas. Get the gas. Be riding. I just remember those. I remember the times where we used to kick it. He'd come to the house. They'd come to the house. We hang out, and we would talk about different things. We did the Eastern Automotive, the Eastern Group,
commercial
commercials.
Sponsorships.
So we did a lot of it was a lot of off-field teaching that was going on. But it's sad that we didn't get to see what he could have really been fully, full potential. Just sad that it would go down that way.
Right. Man, and my other favorite player, my top 3 players was you, Sean, and I like Darryl Green.
Cool. Hey, who don't like Darryl Green, man?
Darryl Green he's just an unreal type human being, man. I mean, and I haven't been around his president, just watching him over the years through TV and how he move around the city. Like he's just unreal. They say go to sleep reasonable time at nighttime, stay a family man.
And that's him. That's truly him. That's not a facade. That's not phony. That's not for fake. That's truly D Green. So D Green's just a dope dude.
Do we get mad? Do we ever get mad?
Oh yeah, he get mad now.
Oh okay.
Yeah, he ain't no punk.
Oh yeah.
D Green he ain't soft.
Right. He
ain't soft.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? In fact, D Green tough as hell.
Right.
In fact,
I know.
You know what I mean? Like strong-minded, strong-willed.
Right,
you know what I mean? Like he's strong here. Like a grown man, he'll son you, like you know what I mean, like even you, like he like Curtbone, you know what I mean, like he'll son you,
right? Yeah,
you know what I mean, like he's that type of dude.
Man's man.
He's a man's man.
Yeah,
that was D Green.
Yeah,
D Green was a man's man.
I done seen him wrestle all the way from Carl Michael all the way to Randy Moss, man. I mean, climb them boys, man, and be there stride with them, man.
You wasn't gonna run away from him.
No, you wasn't gonna run away from him. Even in the end. Yeah, you wasn't gonna run away from him. You wasn't gonna run away from him. No. Man, and Clinton Portis.
Yep.
How was he as a teammate?
Love CP. You know, and people be making so much about me and CP had beef between us or anything like that. Like, I know he said some things in some interviews at times, or, I responded to what the things were said, but make no mistake about it. Like, I love CP. I've always been a supporter of CP, and I've been that way with all my teammates. But I mean, I thought Clint was a hell of a football player, a super dope competitor. He always welcomed me and my family like into his home and stuff like that when his mom would be cooking and stuff like that. So, I have nothing but fond memories of my time as a teammate with CP.
Okay. This is a 2-part question about the owner, Daniel Snyder. Number one is why you don't care for him too much, and number 2, why nobody seems to care for him too much.
I just don't like the way he does business, man.
Right.
Like for me, I've always felt like there's business and there's personal. But when you're doing business and you build personal ties and personal bonds, then you have to be responsible over the personal side as well, because your personal became personal because business allowed that to take place. So those are different circumstances. Some would say, no, you keep business, you keep personal. I would say if I met you through business and we have a business relationship, like if I hadn't gotten drafted by the Washington Redskins, I wouldn't have known Dan Snyder. I wouldn't have built a relationship with him.
Right.
I wouldn't have been cool with him.
Right.
So the fact that we became so tight based off of my work, me being hired by him, there becomes a personal accountability as well. Like I always tell people, if you want to understand where I felt I was at in terms of our closeness, I was a pallbearer for the most important person in his life, which was his dad. I was a pallbearer. That's how close we were. I mean, I held this man while he was crying, like weeping, crying, like it's going to be all right. You know what I mean? Like, and for money to change all of that, like the money didn't change it for me, but it changed it for him. Now, we could have got through it, right? We could have got through it, and we could have even gone our separate ways. It was just the way he handled things. It was just
and
the
for
way
people
he
don't know about what
things.
the money thing, what was the money situation?
So it was a contract situation. And I didn't even want to shed any light on it when it was happening.
Okay.
I just wanted them to fix it, because what happened was when something gets incorrectly filed and it impacts the salary cap, or it impacts what contracts are going to be done in the future, the NFLPA gets involved in that.
Okay.
So the NFLPA was investigating it, and they got involved with it. and once it turned into a public thing, Dan Snyder basically tried to like destroy my character, like they attacked my like who I am as a person. Okay. Like this went outside the parameters of football. Like you're like you got Joe Gibbs and Greg Williams and Dale Lindsey and Greg Blosh, like basically like henchmening me. You know what I mean? Like every single day I'm dealing with something because of everything that's taking place with the contract situation. I never even asked to do it. To give you the background story on this, they needed to restructure Champ Bailey. Champ didn't want to restructure and didn't want to come back to Washington. They needed to restructure a contract to get under the salary cap before the deadline had hit. So my ass calls myself, I'll do it. I'm going to do it for the team. And I do it like last minute. Like it's less than 24 hours before this deadline hits and this contract needs to be certified to have them under the cap. So I tell Dan, I'm going to do it. Like, don't worry about it. I still have like 3 years left on my original deal, which was good. My earning capacity, my earning average, it was good. I didn't have to do anything. So I do it. And I remember telling the dude, we're rushing. So, I mean, it's long, hundreds of pages. It's like if something's wrong, we'll fix it. I don't find out until I'm at the airport. Gene Upshaw, rest his soul, is at the airport. I'm at the airport heading over to the Pro Bowl. And they say, don't worry, we're going to handle it. Everything's going to be all right, da-da-da. I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. That was the first I heard of it. So I didn't even hear it from my agent first. I heard it from Gene Upshaw first, that there was a contract situation discrepancy. And then when I found out that it was a signing bonus that was missing from one of the pages, then it was like it turned into a big thing because it was $6.5 million. It wasn't like a couple $100,000. It was like these is millions.
No one of these pretty joints somewhere. I'll mess with you. What did you?
So that's where all of that came from. I didn't even want no. I was willing to eat it. Like I didn't want no smoke. I just wanted to keep playing. But he made it a personal thing to try and like justify, like, because it kept coming up in the media. So now you're trying to justify whatever you're trying to justify, and you're trying to act as though I'm dumb. Like you're trying to create this narrative that I don't know defenses. I can't. Which at the end of the day, what does that even have to do with my contract? Like, what does that even have to do with that?
Because me to bring it up, and you're not pressing me. They're bringing it up on their own.
At the point in time that all of this happened, I was headed to my third Pro Bowl under my third different defensive coordinator.
But you don't know defense, though. Go ahead, though.
So that's how that whole thing spiraled out of control, is that I wasn't going to just sit back and be a victim to, their verbal and media assaults on me. And that's when it turned into a him versus me or them versus me type of deal. And a lot of people interpreted it like I turned on the organization, I turned on the community, and that was never the case. But that seems easier when you're in the realm of sports, because that's kind of how things play out. But that's not how I'm wired. I'm a pretty loyal dude. And I was loyal to the city. I'm still loyal to the soil of the DMV. I just love living here in California, man.
Cause that Giants jersey, man, I couldn't. It make me sick to my stomach, man. When I see you that, I say, they got my man the Giants jersey, man.
I could have went to Green Bay or New York, and I chose New York so that I could play against the Redskins twice a year. Because of what that man did to my career, like what he did, or maybe what he didn't do. you know, which was he should have protected me in the situation.
Right.
That's what a good owner of an organization would have did,
Right.
especially at the time, his star employee. You should have protected my interest, and you should have protected the interest of the team.
Right.
But they didn't, and they turned it into a thing. And when you always changing coaching staffs, it turns into another thing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So Joe Gibbs, I thought he was the biggest egomaniac of them all.
Damn, Joe.
And
That's my
so
man,
many,
Joe.
And so many people are in love with Joe Gibbs.
Yes, man. We won 3 Super Bowls, 3 different quarterbacks, 3 different running backs.
There you go. But that wasn't. I don't know that Joe Gibbs.
Okay, all right. Go ahead.
And I don't know if that's
go.
the same Joe Gibbs that was there, and maybe I might have gotten to know a different Joe Gibbs if I wasn't dealing with a contract situation.
Right, yeah.
But the Joe Gibbs I got to know, I don't care for.
Right, okay. Because Joe was a dude that, from the outside looking in, deal with a lot of personality with the Dexter Manleys and what's his name, like you say. But the circumstance you was under, you probably didn't get a chance to, probably meet that Joe. But so, and it's crazy because Dan Snyder get a lot of, in that area, man, they beat him up bad. And I'm actually, what I like about Dan Snyder, I've been studying him to the T, that I always got this saying that when somebody get on our plane, they not going back to they city. That's what I liked about him. He gonna make that sign, that check, even though we done made some bad bets, you know what I'm saying? But that's what I liked about the guy,
I don't
right?
feel like it's bad decisions. Like the players and the coaches that he brought in, I don't think they're bad decisions. I think that the environment that he brings them into is a bad environment.
Okay. Well, but some play I think we got at the at 2 when they was already kind of too late. Dallas like the Packers, a few of us that we got. It seemed like it was just they haven't let enough on them that say much on like that. You think different?
I just think that if you get guys and they're motivated and they're in an environment that's conducive to having success, you could do it.
Okay.
Guys are going to grind out. Guys are going to be accountable. Like you didn't have that. It was like it became an environment of mercenaries.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like if it's hard enough to win in the league, just going in and all things given, you're a good team, they're a good team. That's hard to win.
Right.
But if you go into it and it's like he's playing for his contract, he's playing for himself, he's playing for himself, he's playing for himself.
Right.
He might be playing for the team. He might be a team player. Like I don't know how many team players you had on Washington's team at any given point in time.
Right.
You can't win that way. If you're not real teammates, you can't win that way.
Right, exactly. So what do you want to say to your old Redskin family, your old Redskin fans? What would you want to say to them?
I mean, they're not old Redskins fans to me. They if you're a fan of me, then you know the truth, and I'm a fan of yours. I've always been the bigger fan of the fan relationship.
Okay.
So if you meet me, if you know me, if you've heard me, if you've seen me, you know my loyalties and my love for that fan base, and that'll never go anywhere. Okay. And no matter what the interpretations or how people comprehend the things that I say in media, I'm gonna do my job.
Right.
So I'm gonna say what I need to say about Dan Snyder. Robert Griffin III had things to say. Whatever. If it's Clinton, if it's anybody else, I'm gonna have what I'm gonna have to say. I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say because that's what I do. But for the love of it, at the root of it, I'll always love my time that I had with the Redskins fans in Washington, 100%.
Man, we're going to have to do a part 2 because there's so much more we're going to get into. We're going to catch him in D.C. on the couch. We might come back out here and get it, man. But I want to say thank you. I love you, man, as a brother, man.
Always
definitely, man. Appreciate it, man.
Always, my guy.
Lavar Arrington, one of the Redskins best
Curtbone.
that ever did it.
The Bone.
Subscribe to Curtbone TV. Peace.